Welcome to Digital Asset News, take the top stories in cryptocurrency and digital assets and break them down to bite-sized pieces. Today, we've got some fantastic news as it relates to the cryptocurrency market and the resiliency it shows. First up, Kraken is hiring spree, shows Bitcoin's bizarre dynamics, which is no surprise to anyone also. In more good news, PayPal evaluating blockchain use cases after CEO reveals he owns Bitcoin. And essentially what's going on is PayPal is looking for blockchain employees also. Bitcoin price spikes nearly $7,000 on Kraken as whales transfer more than 300 million worth of Bitcoin. And this is actually a cautionary tale of what to avoid and look out for. And finally, crypto exchange Binance reportedly set to acquire CoinMarketCap for a whopping $400 million. Amazing. And as a bonus, Bitcoin poised for a vicious sell-off in near-term, crypto-friendly U.S. Congress candidate says, and why this article actually isn't all it's meant to be. Let's jump into today's stories. So first up, Kraken hiring spree shows the Bitcoin's bizarre dynamics, and it's not as bizarre as these groups and forums might think. We all understand what is actually going on in cryptocurrency digital assets, and we see that it's actually very resilient, and it's not a surprise to us that Kraken would go on a hiring spree as the new aspects start to take effect and people start to actually pile into cryptocurrency. Article states, as the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies collapsed last week, one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges in America went on a hiring spree looking to increase its job force by almost 10%. And these are the types of articles that I look for. I'm not a big TA guy. I'm not into the charts. I know what, it's all about what was and what could be and what it is. But I look at these type of fundamental type of news stories where I can see progress and I can see things that are going on positively in the market. When you have the US right now, and for all my friends who are out there in Europe, Australia, India, Canada, Mexico, America is going to go through a huge slump, an economic slump like the rest of the world, and the forecast is for an unemployment rate of around 30 to 35%, depending on who you talk to. So when I see things like this, where Kraken is not laying off people, but they are actually increasing, that makes me incredibly bullish. Moving on. While other industries are reporting massive layoffs, like we just talked about, and the U.S. Congress is looking to stave off the bleeding with a $2 trillion cash infusion, Kraken is expanding its team of 800 with an additional 67 hires. And I can read the whole article and go over it, but it's really condensed into this nice 3-minute video. And I'm just going to play it for you so you can understand exactly what's going on. But as you're watching this, in your mind, think to yourself, is this good or is this great? I guess that would be the best way to say it. Because when I think about these things, it only makes me more bullish. So let's take a listen.
Coronavirus continues to take its toll on the global economy. Jobs are quickly disappearing. It's perhaps no coincidence that the cryptocurrency industry finds itself on a hiring spree while so many others are having to let go of employees. Blockchain and cryptocurrency startups were founded from day one for this, and they seem to be prepared for remote workers. In recent
Not only that, I just want to make a real quick point. Cryptocurrency, from the time that I got into it, it was all about this is going to be for the global reset. This is going to be when there's hyperinflation. This is going to be when they try to take your money or the dollar collapses. And I was like, whatever, let me just invest in this because it sounds like a good deal. But as I get into it more and more and more, all the things that were said before are coming to fruition now. So when we hear about these things about, cryptocurrency is actually, it's not only just staying afloat, but expanding in these difficult times. It makes me realize that, yes, this could be exactly what it says it is, and we'll see exactly how it works out, but looks pretty good so far. Let's continue.
The conversation I had with the CEO of Kraken, one of the largest exchanges in the United States, we learned that they were hiring not only for technology professionals, but for professionals with a wide range of skill sets, qualified not only from the hospitality industry and elsewhere, but for those with liberal arts educations. We found ourselves literally letting our hair down as we talked crypto.
I think we saw some people that saw this coming. Maybe they were following the news out of Wuhan. They were already hedging. And then we saw, once the news really started to break, that we were getting a lot of new signups. And it's kind of been a bit of a ramp up just over the last few weeks. every day, more signups, every day, more verification requests, more people funding their accounts. And that to us is like the signal that things are heating up, that we need to start adding more staff. And actually the whole COVID-19 thing, as terrible as it has been for the broader economy, actually a lot of our employees have partners or other members of their household who are now unemployed. And the timing is worked out well for us in that we suddenly have an increase in demand and we have a lot of roles to fill. The majority of open positions are less technical, customer service, compliance, documentation. So we're able to offer temporary work to our employees, other family members.
Based on what you're seeing looking around right now, how would you categorize Bitcoin's relationship with traditional markets?
Yeah, I think there's some correlation because I think there's some common denominator, and that is retail investors who are basically gamblers. They make their trades on a whim. They follow the market. And I think no matter what it is, no matter what they're quote unquote investing in, they're buying on the way up and they're panic selling as soon as something goes wrong. But we've seen Bitcoin rebound 30% plus in the last week. It's still up 65% on the year. I think we're seeing a little bit of.
This is why I'm always harping on dollar cost averaging and not trading, day trading. Just makes sense, right? As we see this extreme example. All right, let's go.
That, maybe deleveraging and maybe people selling some of their assets to cover other positions in the equities markets or to make sure they've got enough cash to handle whatever's coming. All the volatility, the ups and downs, the craziness in the markets. If you've been living in Bitcoin for any amount of time, you're used to this level of volatility. You just live your life on the roller coaster. And what's happening in Bitcoin now is not that extreme for Bitcoin. It's what's happening in the rest of the world that it seems very extreme by comparison. And, it's a terrible time for the world, but by all measurements, Kraken as a business is doing well. And I think that the cryptocurrency space as a whole is doing well in this situation.
So yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. So as we see all the things that are happening around us, there is extreme volatility, not just in the markets, but just in our society. And things are starting to get a little hairy out there, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. I believe things will actually turn around. Remember, when you have individuals or groups fragmented focusing on different aspects of whatever they're doing, like I always said, some groups are working on cancer, some are working on longevity, some are working on heart failure, some are working on autoimmune disease and disorders. If you can take all those people and hyper-focus them on one specific point, which is the coronavirus, I do not see this situation lasting an incredibly long amount of time. That's just how I see it. If we can focus everybody in, which I see what's happening right now. But again, this article makes me extremely bullish. I like to see these types of things because it only makes sense. All right, moving on. PayPal evaluating blockchain use cases after CEO reveals he owns Bitcoin. So if you're not aware of this, the CEO of PayPal once stated that he did actually own Bitcoin, which is not a big deal. But what is a big deal is that they're talking about the job listing for PayPal. And it states the team member will be tasked with evaluating blockchain use cases on top of preventing financial crimes such as terrorism and money laundering. No one likes that. The successful candidate would also lead external partner diligence meetings related to blockchain opportunities and potential while reviewing relevant risks to the company's blockchain portfolio. That's something. So I took a look, and yeah, sure enough, here via Glassdoor, here are the job postings: director, anti-money laundering and blockchain strategy, blockchain senior strategist and partnerships, senior blockchain architect, and I'm sure there's many, many more. Those are just the first ones that I found. So you can see that the PayPal is starting to get into it because they realize where the hockey puck is going, and they're trying to skate to where this is from yesterday. They're trying to skate to where the hockey puck is going. That's what I'm trying to say. Instead of playing catch up. A few months ago, in an interview with Fortune, PayPal CEO Dan Schulman revealed that he personally owns Bitcoin. And in June of last year, PayPal joined Facebook's digital asset project Libra, but they left because it's awful. And it's not awful. It did actually get a lot of people talking about blockchain and cryptocurrency, so it's not all bad. But I don't know what's going to happen with that. I do not think it's going to get off the ground anytime soon, but who knows? Been wrong. been wrong all the time. Who knows? So yeah, so my final thoughts on this is, I mean, we see Kraken making an enormous amount of hires. Now we see PayPal, and they're out there going, hey, we need blockchain specialists. And then I know there was a report that talked about one of the leading sites that looks for different talent and clientele for job opportunities. Their number one listing was blockchain, and it actually overtook everything else from 2018, and 2019 it was all about blockchain. So I can only see things going up. Now, you gotta understand though that PayPal, they've been around for a long time, and I don't see them going away anytime soon, but it's all about market share. So if you can kind of position yourself into going, well, if you're still going to use fiat, we can do it this way. But if you want to use blockchain or cryptocurrency, we can also help you out here. So I see it as a pretty good idea. Nobody wants to be the blockbuster of payments. They all want to kind of move themselves into the future. And I can see that's what PayPal's doing. All right, next up. Bitcoin price spikes nearly 7,000 on Kraken as whales transfer more than 300 million worth of Bitcoin. That's a ton. So Bitcoin price briefly surged to $6,800 on Kraken after one person, a lone whale, bought more than 1,000 Bitcoin. So when I hear about this, I'm like, that's great. This is super bullish, but you have to be careful, and here's why. It's tempting to assume that a major whale has decided to re-enter the market after Bitcoin's disastrous performance in March, which is true, because when I saw this, I'm like, great, they're all coming back. But you got to hold your horses, because deep-pocketed holders are prone to manipulating prices to make easy money. Hence, traders should be cautious not to appear on the wrong side of another sell-off. Back in June 2019, a savvy Coinbase user sold 213 million worth of Bitcoin and bought back the whole thing shortly after to earn a whopping 10 million in practically no time. So what happened was, got in there, had a lot of Bitcoin, sold it all off. And then of course, if you look at the charts, you're like, whoa, what the heck's going on? There's huge sales orders. I have to liquidate, and everybody just rushes in, and then they're selling. So this guy sold at, the top of whatever it was at that point, and it just kind of just cascades down and down and down, because they're whales, and that's what they do. That's just how it is. And then once it came to a certain point, yeah, okay, I'm gonna buy it all back, and there it goes. And that's a problem. So I am not a fan of whales. Unlike anybody's a fan of whales, unless you're a whale yourself, of course, and you love yourself and you love everybody else around you, because you're all whales and can manipulate everything. But this is the problem that I see with using TA and how to get in and out. And people can do that. There's some very successful traders, but I think the reason why they're successful is that they got a lot of money to throw around, and maybe they're the ones that's actually manipulating. Just a thought. So here's my question. What are your thoughts on this? Do you see this as this happens a lot, or do you think that it's not really that many whales out there? It's dispersed pretty evenly throughout everybody, and it's not a big deal. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Love to hear that, and let's move on. And in one of the most interesting articles that's going to go a little deep, crypto exchange Binance reportedly set to acquire CoinMarketCap for $400 million. That is amazing. So the deal is expected to be closed with Binance. They're going to pay, almost $500 million. Earlier in the year, Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao, CZ, said that the company is set to make two critical acquisitions. Now, with the CoinMarket deal being revealed, it leaves that there's one more yet to be announced. So my question to you is, they said that they're going to have two major deals. CoinMarketCap is one, and that's a huge deal. What do you think the second one is? I mean, I have no idea. I don't know what the rumors are out there, but I do like a little gossip, a little chisme for here and again. So if you got something that you know of or heard of, put in the comment section. I'd love to hear that. Moving on, CoinMarketCap has not outsourced funds to maintain and run its daily operation. This has made the company very successful in the crypto market, as it rakes in millions of visitors every month. And they go on to state that, last month the website reported that in the last 6 months, it's attracted 207 million visitors, which puts its traffic at 80% more, almost double that of Binance. Binance got like 113 million, somewhere around there. So CoinMarketCap is an American company founded back in 2013 by Brandon Che from Delaware. So good job to that guy. He's going to make a lot of money. With Binance facing stiff competition from other major crypto exchanges like Coinbase, the acquisition will put Binance a step forward. In my opinion, a giant step forward. Binance leads the pack of crypto exchanges with 22% traffic, followed closely by Coinbase, which is around 21% of the entire market traffic share. And as I saw it, I'm like, okay, great. They picked up CoinMarketCap. Who cares? But then when I read this article and I started to think about it, I'm like, this is what good or great companies do. They make acquisitions and mergers to propel them forward. This is, in my opinion, after reading this and just thinking about it for a bit, this is a genius. This is a great move by CZ and Binance to get out there, because you can do a lot of things with 207 million eyeballs. Well, 414, I guess. You got a lot of attention in one small space that's all coming to you. And now essentially you've doubled it. And all this different traffic that you were dealing with Coinbase, well, you just doubled them. You tripled it. You totally lapped them 3 times over. So it's a beautiful move. So my final thoughts of this is that CoinMarketCap, they've had their issues from not delisting exchange information, which saw certain cryptos fluctuate. I know there was a problem back in the day where they were using the data from certain Korean exchanges, and it would mess up the whole price for different cryptocurrencies, XRP being one, and people got really heated about it. Also, they didn't delist BitConnect when everybody knew it was a scam, so that screwed everything up. And with Binance, they're not going to, hopefully they won't let that happen. And that could be a good and a bad thing. The good is you put authority in place and they kind of dictate what's going to happen. The bad news is you put authority in place and they're going to dictate what happens. So can you see that there is a tremendous downside to this? Because if you've got Binance going, look, of course they're going to come out and say, we're not going to manipulate anything, right? We're not. That's not going to happen. But you can do a lot of things with a lot of, if all that attention is in one place. And I will just say this. It's a huge deal for Binance to get this. And that's all I'm going to say. Moving on. Oh, before I move on, let me ask you, do you think that this is no big deal that they got CoinMarketCap and no one uses it anyhow? Or do you think this is like a thing? Now let's move on. And last up, Bitcoin poised for a vicious sell-off in near term. Crypto-friendly U.S. Congress candidate, keyword candidate, he's not a congressman yet, says so. David Gokhshtein, a pro-crypto Republican candidate to the U.S. House for New York's 1st Congressional District, has warned that Bitcoin could soon see another sell-off with investors dumping the asset for cash. And I got to tell you, this is great. We've got a congressman who is keenly aware of what's going on in the cryptocurrency market. So fantastic. I'm happy about that. More people, the better. Come and join the party. Water's fine. His statement on Twitter was, in my honest opinion, we'll soon see people selling off Bitcoin to put some fiat in their pockets. And that was exactly my thought. I thought that as the economic downturn happened, people will be like, I got to save, I got to pay rent. I got to get a mortgage. Or I have a small business and I have to deal with that. I have to, pay my rent for that, or I have to pay employees. So I'm going to have to liquidate. But so far, it's been holding strong since March 12th after that big dip. It's been doing okay. And what Plan B says does make sense. IMHO, in my honest opinion, people owning the 800,000 addresses with more than one Bitcoin. I did this story yesterday. There's apparently 800,000 wallets that have more than one Bitcoin. Now remember, even I have more than one wallet of Bitcoin, and it doesn't matter if you have 800,000. Maybe it could be more like 300,000 of people, because people have duplicates, but who knows? But he says people owning the 800,000 addresses more than one Bitcoin don't have to sell for fiat. Most have enough other funds and are not dependent on a job or salary. Bitcoin is a long-term investment for them with money they're willing and able to lose. And I think that could be. It could be for 60, 70%. I don't know. Maybe it's for 100%. I have no idea. But I do think that there's going to be some people that need to liquidate at some point, especially if we are on lockdown and you cannot work. And even if you are in a country that provides for a stimulus package and you do get money, first of all, are you going to be able to get it on time? Are they going to extend that? Are they able to actually do that? And is it going to be smooth? I don't think it's going to be. So I don't think that everybody's just like, no problem. I got all my money and I'm good to go. I think there's some people that are going to sell off. Now, is it going to be a sell off enough to hit 4,000, 3,000, 2,000? As the days go on, that's very unlikely to happen. And I thought it was going to be a little bit faster. I was wrong. And now I see that the market is extremely resilient. Moving on. In a tweet yesterday, Goxstein had said that he hopes Bitcoin dips one more time so that everyone can get the chance to get in before it skyrockets in a full-blown bull run. That was my thought exactly, but it hasn't happened. At the moment, Bitcoin is up by over 82% over the past 17 days or so. Regardless, most people remain bearish on Bitcoin in the short term. However, the long-term picture looks promising. Bitcoin has a guaranteed scarcity with the total supply of 20 million because we know that going to be a halving event coming up on around May 2020, and that will cut the rewards of the block from 12.5 to 6.25. That's pretty deflationary, and we like that. Unfortunately, banks are currently printing trillions of dollars to help the economy weather the negative impacts of the coronavirus. In fact, the United States public debt just set a new record of around 23 trillion. Yay, America's number one. This represents 105% of the total U.S. GDP, gross domestic product. And according to analyst Crypto, it is impossible for the United States to print its way out of this enormous debt. Debatable. I'm not sure. There was a different thing about modern money theory that we covered a couple of videos ago. But there is a point. There is a breaking point. That is for sure. You cannot print 40 trillion, 60 trillion, 100 trillion and be okay. It just doesn't happen like that. As such, Bitcoin, which has a finite supply, is the perfect safe haven when fiat ultimately collapses. And I see it, I see it clear as day that gold is the old way safe haven, and people will still use gold and they'll still call it safe haven because it is ingrained in people's brain. That's just how it's going to be. However, I believe that people are going to start to see Bitcoin, especially after all the turmoil that's gone on right now, as another more modern safe haven or store of value. I just see it coming together. I think it's kind of like how Bitcoin and Litecoin were supposed to be like, partners in crime. I think that's how it's going to be in the future. It's going to be gold and Bitcoin, essentially, for safe haven. Either way you want to go is a respectable choice. Now, of course, you as a subscriber watching this video, you're like, of course it's Bitcoin. Of course it's Bitcoin. Listen, I'm telling you, people are old school. They're still out there. They still like gold. That's how it's going to be. But Bitcoin's going to make a big jump in market share. Just my thoughts. And the last sentence was pretty good. It says, furthermore, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong recently noted that Bitcoin was made for a financial crisis like the one the world is currently facing. It's true. The good news is that Bitcoin was built for this. Bitcoin's amazing. It's global. It's inflation-proof. It's digital. It's the money that people need right now in this moment. And I couldn't agree more. So here's my final thoughts. I agree with Plan B to a point. I see that the market is not going down as I had thought. So I was wrong. The market is not going down, even though we are ramping up infection rates with the coronavirus, which is leading to mass unemployment of 30% plus and a huge economic downturn. Look, Italy is getting over their coronavirus. China apparently has. South Korea pretty much beat it in the beginning. Now we are experiencing the effects in the United States. So in New York, we are about to hit the crescendo. We are going up, not only in the amount of infections, but the deaths. So we will see how it moves throughout the U.S. And we've got a lot of different states, Louisiana, Washington, California, of course, New York. So this isn't going to end anytime soon. We're looking at, at minimum, the end of April right now, but it could be May, June, to where we may still be on these restrictions. I don't know. But as this happens, of course, unemployment's only going to rise and it's only going to go up. So the longer this happens, the more economic downturn, the more problems we're going to have. Hopefully it gets resolved soon. We'll see. Now, if Bitcoin, the crypto market, makes it through the next couple of months, which I totally believe it will, without completely collapsing, it will be legitimized. It'll be legitimized by everyone, from traditional markets to the average Joe, who will be hearing all these stories from all their friends about how there's this new asset class that was a fantastic hedge against the volatility of the markets. Listen, I'm telling you, the stories after this are going to be epic. Because if you can go from an economic downturn when the whole world goes into a huge slump, a massive recession, massive, and not only is this new asset class, which is only 10 years old, not only was it a great hedge against traditional markets, but it didn't just survive, but it thrived. Can you imagine what people are going to say? Hey, I need to get into that because first of all, traditional markets didn't work out for me anyhow. These Wall Street guys screwed me over, and I like that. That makes a lot more sense. And their gains of how many 1,000%? I will definitely look into that. And these are just my thoughts. Also, I have to do a PSA, public service announcement for all my small business owners. If you are in the United States, you go to sba.gov at the very top. There is the apply for an economic injury disaster loan. If you just click at the very top, it'll take you through all the information that you need to fill it out and get your loan for SBA. Now, every requirements are different. This only took me like 30 minutes at the most. There's another process for other types of, like if you are an S corp or an LLC, but right here is the bulk. Just go to sba.gov, click on that link, and you'll be able to apply for a forgivable. That's the keyword, forgivable loan. So look, that's it. Thanks for sticking with me through the rants. Usually we go over the scam of the day. Now that is on hiatus because as I understand it, YouTube is working with a skeleton crew, which is odd to me because it's not like they couldn't work from home, but whatever. That's just what I got from when I tweeted at the YouTube help. So we're going to put on hiatus for a bit, and hopefully what we can do is just try to make people aware. If you see a scam, and you're on Twitter, please point it out to everybody. If you see a scam, please put in the comments, hey, this is a scam, you're a piece of trash, get out of here, that type of thing. And then once YouTube comes back to like a regular amount of people, we'll pick up the scam of the day so we can do and help everybody. All right, so if you like these types of videos, there's gonna be 2 more that's gonna pop up on your left and right, but that's it. Thanks for sticking with me. See ya on the next one.